One of the fun things about horticulture and gardening in general is that if you want to become a specialist in a particular plant or plant type or plant group, there's any number of ways in which you can go. There are people who enjoy growing roses and daylilies and iris and peonies, and all they do is grow those particular kind of plants. There's also a group of people who just love and adore clematis, and clematis is one of those plants that is really a nice plant to grow. It's a wide assortment, wide variety of these things, all kinds of colors, sizes, and shapes of clematis. And one thing that's kind of frustrating for many people, especially first-time gardeners, is they don't understand the clematis. Even though they love them and they like to grow them, they can't, because there's some things that you have to understand about clematis. And one of the things which you have to understand, which I think really baffles people, is this pruning issue. Clematis are broken down into 3 pruning groups: Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3. And it all depends upon where the particular flower buds are being formed that bloom for that particular season. In a Group 1 clematis, the flower buds are formed and will flower on last year's wood or the old stem. That means very little pruning is done in the springtime if you expect that thing to flower. Group 2 will flower on both last year's wood and current season's wood. So what happens here is that you'll get some flowering early in the season, and then when a new growth comes on, flowering for later in the season. So here we basically are pruning a little light pruning in the springtime to remove any dead material. And then after flowering, a little heavier pruning can be done to clean up the plant. So you have an option here. A Group 3 clematis basically blooms all on new season's growth. And that's a clematis basically you can take and prune extremely hard in the springtime down to basically about a foot above the ground. And what happens there is the fact that now what you're doing is cleaning up the plant, and all the new growth that's coming up is flowering at a level which you can enjoy it. If you did not prune a Group 3 clematis, it will continue growing taller and taller and taller, and all the flowering will be up here with very little flowering down here. So it's a Group 1, 2, or 3. Now, the other thing that's really sometimes frustrating, especially for those of us that are in the question answering business, is a person will call and say, how do I prune my clematis? The first thing we ask is, what kind of clematis do you have? Long silence, because they don't know. So that gives a more of a credence to save the plant tag. That way you know the variety. The variety then can be referenced to find out what type of group the clematis is in. This is a particular one called Rebecca. On the back of the tag it says prune according to Group 2 guidelines. One over here is a Group 3 clematis. I wouldn't know that unless I looked at the tag or looked at the variety. So again, pay attention and keeping in mind the variety, keep track of the tag. The other thing about clematis is that when you get a clematis, it's a good idea to plant them deeper than they were grown in the container. And what this does, it helps to basically get the clematis past a very common problem called Clematis wilt. Clematis wilt is a foliar disease that eventually goes into the stem and causes particular parts of the plant to basically collapse and decline and die. You can easily be dealt with by pruning away those affected portions, and the plant will probably recover and survive. But if you plant the plant a bit deeper, it tends to help the plant overcome this particular problem. Also, the other thing about clematis, there's an old saying, top in the sun, roots in the shade. So when you're planting clematis, make sure the top gets plenty of sun, but the roots stay cool and moist. So you might want to plant it someplace where the roots will get shaded. Plant perhaps a ground cover around there to kind of hide or protect the soil and keep the roots cool and moist. And they should have no problem growing clematis. It's a matter of proper planting, proper siting, paying attention to pruning details when it comes time to clean up the plant based upon what group it's in, 1, 2, or 3.